Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of A Handful of Hope. Today, I am so happy and grateful to have Maylee with us. Maylee is the CEO of Hycomb Marketing LLC, an Oregon-based company that has been serving small businesses' marketing needs for over 30 years. Hycomb provides a full array of marketing services, including social media, reputation management, website development, branding, and direct marketing communications. Maylee brings leadership, engineering know-how, and business savvy with elite customer service to those she serves. Prior to Hycomb, Maylee worked in the arts and administration as a major donor fundraiser and researcher for the Tony Award-winning Oregon Shakespeare Festival, the largest rotating repertory theater in the United States. Maylee, welcome and thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for inviting me, Jesse. I'm delighted to be here, and it's always great to spend time with you and talk with you and chat.
Yeah, and I think the social media conversation we're going to have is so relevant. I think social media always is relevant, but perhaps even more now than ever because everybody's on social media probably right now. And I don't even think people really can conceptualize just how many people are on there. Maybe you can start with just giving us some numbers so people have a concept of the amount of eyeballs that are on there and looking for content to consume.
Well, 3.5 billion people across the world are on social media. That's 42% of the world population. And that was before the coronavirus. So you can just even imagine now how many people are on social media. Also, pre-coronavirus, the average amount of time everyone spent on social media is 2 hours and 23 minutes. That's daily.
Wow.
So isn't that crazy?
That's unbelievable.
And Americans spend 12 hours a day on media. So that's television, news, anything that they consume. But since with so many people who are self-quarantine or who are stay home, we can just only imagine how many more hours every day people are on social media. By the way, Facebook is the second most visited website after Google, and it's pretty explosive. And as you get younger, in the younger demographics, there's 100% participation in social media, and there's even more time spent on social media. So social media is incredibly powerful. I don't think most people realize how powerful it is, and it's gaining more ascendancy right now. It's practically the number one way that people connect, especially since we can't be with each other on a day-to-day basis in the reality or in the physical world.
I've been talking with a lot of business owners these last really, I guess, 4 or 5 weeks about ways that they can reach their people now that their business might be shut down, on hold, or their original strategy is taking a massive detour. And I've been leaning on them about how much they need to have a online digital presence. And it's been amazing to see that there's been resistance before of it, because I think social media was very misunderstood. And I think some business owners saw it as a thing for kids or a thing that you go to kind of watch cat videos or something like that, but they haven't really seen the business potential of it and how, what did you say, 3.5 billion people online?
Yes, across the world.
3.5 billion people, that's 3.5 billion sets of eyes. And for the business owner, entrepreneur who's looking at ways that they can expand what they're doing, reach new people right now, you're never going to have as many eyeballs probably on what you do as you will at this time. So maybe, I know you were telling me before that you've noticed differences between customers you work with who really have a strong social presence and customers you don't. Maybe you can just highlight a couple of those things.
Yes. First, let me just address the fact that people feel like it's something silly. The reality is, at its heart, social media is about engagement and connection. It may seem like that it's superficial, but for many people, it really is relationship oriented. And because it's visual and not in person, we can dismiss it. But people are really seeking connection. And so as a business, if we recognize the power of that connection, we can really tap into that And now especially is the best time to do it when the audience is so much deeper and broader right now than it would be, and it was back in January. So in terms of what we're seeing is across the board, our clients, we have a number of clients, and some of them have 13,000 followers, and some of them have only a couple hundred. And what we've seen is the clients who have maintained just sort of a regular cadence of 1 to 2 posts a week of just general but very good content that that's maybe a little bit less personal, but still they're putting out content. Their following has increased by about 10%. They're not really getting they're getting some impressions and improved impressions. Those who are spending more energy on social media, putting a lot more posts out, being much more personal, we're seeing unbelievable spikes in the number of views and engagements and interactions, and at least a 20% increase in followers without them even asking people to like them and follow them. So this is, if you're looking for ways to maintain that relationship with your patients, with your customers, with people who you are seeking to support your business, really now is the time to do it.
What is the recommended, I mean, I don't know if there's a formula, there is a certain amount, but what is the recommended amount of times people should be posting? And when we're say posting, we could use Facebook, I guess, as kind of a broad example, since that's the big kahuna of them all, so to speak. What would you recommend for most of your clients? How frequent should they be posting? Is it once a day? It's not once to 2 times a week? Is it 10 times a day? I mean, I've heard everything and anything in between. What do you recommend?
Well, I think that right now we're seeing social media in a totally different way. It's defying all sorts of norms and standards. Social media, it depends on the content that you're giving. If you're doing the one thing that will turn people off and get them to unfollow you is to lots of advertising and self-promotion. Again, people are seeking relationship. If you're posting things that are funny, that are personal, then you can do this on a multiple times a day. It will grow your following just doing personal content. There is actually a school of thought about the right mix. So generally what you want 5, 3, 2, 5 curated posts to every 3 posts that are generated and original that you created. So they're called creation. And then 2 posts that are kind of fun. So 5 curations might be sharing a post or a news piece that is relevant to your audience. And then, creating content, giving something that is meaningful, that will be helpful to the lives of the people who are your clients and your followers. And the last is just to create that connection and that relationship, the fun pieces. So if you do but you can do more of those fun posts and more of the humor and more of that contact, and people can't seem to get enough of that. The other thing that's really the other question you did not ask is there a timing to social media? And there absolutely is. So pre-January, the rule of thumb, and it's slightly different across different sectors, but there are times when you're going to get the most engagement in social media. It used to be generally midday. With Instagram, it's a little bit more like Tuesday or in the early mornings, but it's also skewed towards what kind of industry you're in. So like retail is later in the week, and medical is earlier in the week, and healthcare can be a little bit more, education can be a little bit more on the weekends, but it's generally midday, midweek. So what we're seeing in our analytics of social media is that it's actually 9 o'clock in the morning and 9 o'clock at night that are the peak times. With it still midday is a huge, heavy amount of impressions and engagement. So all of these statistics have just been blown out of the water, and nothing is really out there. So I'm just sharing with you what we're seeing with our clients in social media.
Somebody once told me, they said, well, I don't want to go on social media because I'm not funny, or I don't have a personality that is magnetic enough or something like that. But it seems like now more than ever, with people craving that connection piece, it's not so much about how we perceive ourselves as it is about giving people the opportunity to just connect to us and see that there's a real human being there, and maybe getting to know you in a different way. The doctor who always is very doctory around their patients, to see them with their cat running around in the background, or the chef who's always has such an immaculate kitchen, to get to see the behind the scenes of before the kitchen looks immaculate, where it looks a little messy. How important is it for us to put our personalities out there?
This is what gets you the followers. Transparency is so important in social media. The items that you'll see that are polished, those are not the ones that people like to follow or become viral. It's when people feel like they're connecting with a real person. Americans, I believe especially, love genuineness and transparency. And and what you're saying is exactly the kind of questions that my clients have. They hate putting themselves out on social media. They want to look great. They want to, look really perfect. And every photo that they provide for their social media, they disparage as not being, they're not thin enough, they're not polished enough. And the reality is that those are the most popular posts that we can provide. And yes, people want to see what people are really like. They want to feel connected to the human person. So people don't want to connect to a corporation. They want to connect to another individual.
For the business owner who hears this and they say, okay, I get that. I need to connect to my customers. I need to connect to my clients. I need to connect to my prospects. I need to put more of it out there, but is also really sensitive right now about marketing in this time, because maybe there's some feedback. People are saying things like, oh, you might be exploiting what's going on, or you shouldn't be, offering a service or trying to charge people money, etc. But it's their business. It's how they put a roof over their head. It's how they put food on their table. Is there a right time for them to make an offer, or is there a right approach to how they kind of finagle that into their social media? What do you see working well for them?
Direct advertising messages are not really effective on social media, or as effective.
And direct advertising would be like, hey, Maylee, I have this car, you want to buy it? Something kind of like that, or?
Exactly.
Okay.
If it's framed, if marketing is framed as, here's something that I hope will make your life better, that will feel, that will have more resonance than just, here's a car, it's $50,000, and then you list all the great features of that car. That's not really going to get people excited. In fact, you might have people unfollow you if you have, hard-hitting type of advertising. What is going to, social media is really more about building a following and building relationship. And what that does is it creates an indirect desire to maintain that business relationship with the person you're following. So what it does is it creates relationship and goodwill. We all want to get our goods and services from people we like and people that we want to stay connected with. If we disrespect the businesses, you can lose, people will not want to buy your product. And you see that on the sort of the dark side of social media. You can see business bashing, where people feel like that a company does not follow their values and their morals, and they'll do everything they can to get people not to frequent that business. So if the focus is on really building relationship and transparency, then what that's going to do is that's going to generate goodwill for those sales, for those relationships, for those contracts. The other thing is what people can offer right now is positive messages of hope. Right now, we're all pretty much stuck at home, and we see the numbers, the death tolls, the number of people getting sick, the lack of protective equipment in hospitals across the world, people being afraid. So messages of lightness and hope are really gonna lift people's spirits. And we can think of it as a way of creating lightness and hope to other people by bringing these type of messages.
I love that. And I think that's so important because that's kind of the unifying thing right now. Those 3.5 billion people who are online, most of them have this thing that's going on at this period in time as the top of their mind. And it's such a powerful vehicle that we have that we can reach and connect with those people. And it really does enable all of us to make a difference. You and I were talking offline about making a difference, and you said something so profound, and I think it's so worth repeating and expanding on. You mentioned that somebody doesn't need to have a following of 13,000 people to make a difference. What did you mean by that, and can you expand on that a little bit? How can people make a difference via social media?
Well, no matter how big our world is, if we can lighten or help others, it makes a difference across the world. If everyone did a little bit to help each other, it would change the whole world.
Yeah.
I have clients who are sharing what they're doing at home, taking care of their horses or their garden, and just offering moments of peace. And these are just insanely popular videos. This is basically a dental practice, but they're having team members post something that shares a part of their life that gives them a moment of zen or happiness. I have other clients who are offering to deliver food, and they're sending out to their business social media and saying, if you're in our area and you're one of our patients or clients, we will get your grocery list and we'll bring you food. So that's the kind of goodwill that can make a huge difference. I have the other people who are making masks, and that's something that our company is doing, is we're hand making masks and we're sending them to our clients. So and that actually can make a difference.
Yeah.
In their day-to-day life.
Yeah, I think that I don't know if you've had this experience, conversations I've had with people about resistance to social media in the past. A lot of them have centered around, well, I don't have this kind of big a following. I'm too far behind. This person has thousands of people. I have zero. And one of the great levelers of what's going on right now is everybody is experiencing similar fears, hopes, anxieties, frustrations. And with that being such at a forefront, right, it really bridges this gap of, wait a minute, it's not about everyone that's so different. It's about that one person that's going through what I can. And if I can focus on that one person and shine a light for them, then maybe it inspires them to find their own light and shines a light. And it becomes, what is it, the bunny rabbit effect, where one turns to two, two to four, four to eight, and eight to many, and so on. And yeah, I think that's such a beautiful, profound concept. Is just it's those messages of hope, right? It's doing those little things.
I get that now feels like an overwhelming time to take on something new, but regardless of when you decide to do social media, it is something that is going to dominate all customer relationships and all marketing and all communication. Over 1 million people a day are joining social media across the world. And it's exponentially going right now. The number of people who are on it and are joining it. 79% of people in America have a social media profile. That's more often than people brush their teeth.
Wow.
And yes, and it's only growing. And on top of that, so whether you join now or whether you join later, you're going to have a social media presence to be viable in this evolving and changing world. It is something that you really can't avoid. 100% of those under the age of 25 have social media profiles, and it's the older generation that are not as much on social media, but even then it's 55% of the boomers and the older generation. So and that, again, those numbers are growing. So whether you accept it as a reality or not, social media is really important. And another side to social media is the fact that reputation is tied into social media, and people have to pay attention. You can have your business be destroyed overnight on social media, and you may not even have a social media presence. So these things are realities that, that's the dark side of social media, but these are realities that every business, small and large, has to grapple with. So.
I think that's an important point to just touch on really quick. I've had over the years a few times where people have gone on and said some, not so nice things and have fabricated stories and made claims of things and I don't even know these people, right?
Yes.
And what I found with it was, what was really incredible is I've spent so much time over the years building up goodwill and trust with people that before I even saw what was happening, there was probably about 10 people in a kind of core audience who were on there basically calling BS on these people and reporting it as spam, reporting it as everything else. And it was the kind of stuff where, it gets out and people who aren't familiar with you and it's their first time, they could really be put off by it. But people who had grown and formed that relationship, formed that bond with me over the years, who know me as who I am and have come accustomed to it, they were right there. And I think that's such an important point, because sometimes there's that fear of, right, well, if I go on there and I make myself out there, somebody can say whatever they want and ruin my reputation. And what I found is that if you show up and you're genuine, you're authentic, you're in alignment with your values, people will come to know that part of you. And if somebody does come out and say something, because people sometimes are just bored and they have nothing better to do, that we were just talking before this even started, Zoom now, the modality we're recording this on requires passwords to get in, because over the last few weeks, with more and more people getting online, they've had a bunch of hackers jumping into and putting spam messages and inappropriate messages in people's Zoom meetings. So to combat that, Zoom does it. This is to acknowledge that there's that element of people out there have nothing better to do but try to put some dark clouds on someone's day. But remember, if you show up and you just stay true to you, people will see that, and they will come to bat for you, and it will probably even make them more endearing to you to see you go through a little bit of adversity and them being able to support you in the way that you support them.
Oh yeah, I mean, the fact that you have all of these followers who really have paid attention and have really come to know who you are through your work and even your social media, that is a huge boon. And in some ways, if we have a small presence and you have these negative comments and it becomes devastating, you actually don't have the supporters or the reviews, the volume to counteract those negative actions of others. And so that's another reason why it's really good to have, social media and reputation management, so that you have built up that following, you have built up that goodwill, you have built up positive reviews that act as a counterweight to the one bad relationship, the
Yeah.
one bad transaction. So you're right. It's really great to build that base and work on that now before that happens to you.
Maybe what's the most important thing someone could do on their social media today that they may not be thinking about or they may not have done yet today? What is their most important thing they could do? I want to get people into action right after they finish this interviews. What is the most important thing they could do on their social media today?
I mean, generally, when we work with clients on their social media, we try to set everything up so that their website and their social media have cohesion and consistency, and that the branding is clear. But really, that is, that just helps to create a consistent message. The most important thing is just to get out there and start posting.
Mm.
Get comfortable with it. Post something fun. It doesn't have to be polished. Like I said, the things that are the most popular are those photos that people seemingly hate of themselves, which is goofy or not perfect. And so, you don't have to be a genius. I think of there's this there's a cowboy, I believe it's a cowboy museum that has gotten viral, and basically the security guard who is
Oh yeah. I saw that with him. Yeah.
he's posting this stuff, and his posts are so hilarious. They're viral because he's like really like he's trying to post, and he's so transparent about what he doesn't know what he's doing, and yet he's so enthusiastic about the museum. And so you just sort of you find that you like, I want to have a beer
Yeah.
with this guy. I mean, I and then you just like you become interested in the museum. So just we have to sort of get over looking a certain way or being a certain way, just being ourselves and just start posting things and be honest. If it's your first post, just say, Jesse told me to do this. I don't know what the heck I'm doing.
Yeah.
And help me out here. So, and then just, do it on a daily basis. Do something simple, do it small. Maybe it's a repost of an article or a great photo or something funny. Just share it.
Love that. Maybe 3 rapid fire questions to close up. People are at home, sheltering in place, quarantine, lockdown, whatever the terminology is. There's so many of them now. If you could recommend one podcast people listen to, what would that be? First thing that comes to mind.
I don't know. I think that there was a really interesting podcast of a person who was convicted of raping his girlfriend, and that was like, and then that there was an overturn, a potential investigation of his conviction. So
Wow.
I would say sort of like more documentary type of podcasts are more fun for me.
Book you'd recommend people read?
A book. Oh gosh. Jesse, you're like killing me here. I actually read like 3 books a week, so I can't even like tell you which one you should go for. I generally like to read a lot of science fiction.
Perfect.
But one thing is a storytelling book, which tells you how to like market your own story and branding. So I think it's called story branding and storytelling.
I love that. And movie or documentary you'd recommend people watch? Movie or documentary?
Movie or documentary. Okay, something that's really fascinating and is called American Factories. And it's a documentary, and it's about how this glass manufacturer created a factory in a closed down factory, or reopened a closed down factory in, I believe it was in Michigan. Mm-hmm. And the culture clash between American workers and Chinese managers and bosses, and how they approached manufacturing. It was really crazy, the differences.
Awesome. Everyone, this has been such an information-packed session, and I encourage you to rewatch this a couple times and really take to heart what Maylee said about how you can really utilize social media during this time. Whether you are a business owner looking to boost your brand, diversify, create a new stream of revenue, or just pivot because you've been forced to due to your business shutting down. 3.5 billion people, that's 3.5 billion sets of eyes on social media right now. Or if you're just someone who's looking to pass the time and you're feeling a little lonely and disconnected, what a wonderful place to start connecting and really connecting, not just putting up the same recycled things, but going on there and being you. I love the, what was it, the 5-3-2 formula of going out and how you structure your social media post. And then also with that, for those of you who are looking to put your business or expand your business on how to make offers where it's in there and it's not a direct offer, but it's really in alignment with who you are and what you're doing. And those of you who are looking to just do something with your social today to boost it up, I love just the simplicity of doing something, beginning, going out there and putting something out. And it doesn't matter how perfect it is or anything like that. I think one of the most refreshing things for me during this time has been seeing the 3-app, 4-time filtered photos that you normally see on social media feeds being replaced with Zoom screenshots and blue light background and horribly filtered photos of people just being online and sharing how they're connecting with one another. You know, connection is being spoken about more than ever, and use social media as a vehicle to connect. And not only can you make this time more meaningful with the people you love and care about, but you can probably make it more meaningful for your business too. And Maylee, this has been absolutely incredible. I thank you so much for sharing your magic, your knowledge, your expertise with this. And thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Jesse.
You bet. We'll see you
Bye.
next time, everyone, on another edition of A Handful of Hope. Bye-bye.